Hello everyone, I'm Gadi. I'm from a company called ARX, and we're presenting a solution, a digital signature solution called Cosign. We have a booth in the hall. I'm the one keeping you from lunch, so I promise to release you on time, and this is under the condition that whatever I do not manage to explain here, that you will come to our booth and we'll have the opportunity to have a longer conversation at the booth. So for example, I intend to give a demo, but if I don't have the time to give the demo, then please come to our booth to see the demo yourself. Also another personal note on myself, I've spent a few years here in London. I studied at Imperial College, not far from here. London to me feels like home. So we're looking for excuses to make me come to London as often as possible. I'm going to be talking about electronic signatures. I'm going to explain what electronic signatures are, what the benefits are, what the difference between electronic signatures and digital signatures. I'll go through a list of factors that you need to consider when you look at deploying an electronic signature solution or a digital signature solution. I will do very little advertising for our Cosign product. I'll try and keep it at the principle level and just talk about the academics of it all. So you've set up your Alfresco system. You have your content management working, you have your workflow working, you have your document management is working, your forms are okay, and you look at the way that your users are still using the system, and you'll see that there's still an awful lot of paperwork around. And one of the reasons you'll see the paperwork around is because people print the documents when they want to sign them. So they need to sign a contract, they need to sign an approval. What you'll see is that they print the document, sign it with a pen, and scan it back into the system, or print it and sign it and FedEx or fax. They change the original format of the document into usually some sort of an image or at least some paperwork. And the idea with electronic signatures is to allow your users to sign the document in its electronic form. So if you need to sign your Excel spreadsheet, sign the Excel spreadsheet. If you need to sign your Word document, your PDF form, instead of printing it, signing it with a pen and paper, sign your PDF, sign your Word in its electronic world, in its electronic form. So I'm going to talk about this. I'll go into the technology just a little bit, and I'll talk about the different options that there are. But before we do that, I want to start by sharing with you a hobby of mine, which is archaeology, and talk about signatures in the ancient world. So we know, in the ancient world, we know that the use of signature was very prevalent. The most natural example is usually the king's seal. The king had a seal. When he needed to send a document, he would seal the envelope with his seal. The receiving end would know who the letter is from, and they would know that this is the original letter, that the letter wasn't tampered with. And these are the two basic principles of electronic signatures. You need to know who signed it, you need to be able to prove who signed it, and you need to know that the document wasn't tampered with. You need to know that the integrity of the document was maintained. But I actually want to give a different type of a signature in the ancient world. What you see in front of you is the invention of the coins. So the coins as we know them today, let me see if I can find a couple of coins. So the coins that we know of today are a Greek invention. This is a Greek invention, and what you see here are the original electrum coins that were invented in the kingdom of Lydia. And the idea was interesting. So until there were coins, if I wanted to buy something, I could trade. I could go to someone with my cow, and I would get however many sheep there are in the value of the cow. Or I could take a piece of precious metal and go to the shopkeeper, and he would need to derive the value of the precious metal according to the weight and the quality. And we would then be able to exchange this piece of metal for some other merchandise. And what the Greeks decided to do was to standardize this system. And they came up with these tiers of precious metal. They're all of equal weight and equal quality. And these tiers were stamped by the king. So this stamp basically says, I, the king of Lydia, guarantee the weight of this piece of metal and the quality of this piece of metal. These are electrum coins, which electrum is 50% gold, 50% silver. And this is basically the king's seal. This is basically the king's signature. It needs to be complicated so that no one can compromise it, no one can copy it. Originally, they stamped just the one side, and then very quickly they understood that they can actually stamp it on both sides. And this is how you get the coins of today. It's the king's signature that gives you the value of the coin. The electronic signatures are very similar. It's a very similar concept. In the electronic signature world, there are all sorts of signatures. All sorts of electronic signatures. If I scan the graphical image of my signature, and I paste this JPEG onto a file, this is a sort of a, okay, I managed to, this is a sort of a signature. If I send an email and I write my name at the end of the email, it's a sort of a signature. In this space of electronic signatures, there are a set of standards. The standards are based on encryption technology. If you use a signature mechanism that is implementing the standard, this is called a digital signature. So a digital signature is an electronic signature that is implemented according to the standards. The standards are well known, defined by standard committees, and this is what differentiates electronic signatures from digital signatures. The way that digital signatures work is I take a document or a piece of data, and I go through a sort of a mathematical massage of this document. I sort of massage it a little bit with various hashing algorithms, and what I get as a result of this massage is a very small piece of data called the hash, or the fingerprint of the document. This is the fingerprint of the document. It represents the document. If the document changed, even one bit in the document changed, I would get a different fingerprint, or I'd get a different hash. So now I take the hash and I encrypt it using your signature key. Using your signature key, I do the encryption. I get a sort of a blob of data. I take this blob of data and I embed it into the document itself. Okay? This is all based on standards. So the way that I hash, the way that I encrypt, the way that I embed in the document, it's all scripted in the standards. The signature is embedded in the document. It travels with the document. It travels with the document. If I sign the document and I send it to my friend here, Peter, and I send it to Peter, and whether he's in India or in London, he receives the signed document and he can verify it based on the embedded information in the document itself. So if I sent him a PDF document, he would view it using his PDF viewer, usually Adobe Reader, and the Adobe Reader has the built-in capability to verify the signature. So the Adobe Reader would look at the signed document, it would say who signed it, it would say that the document didn't change since the moment that it was signed. It would say when it was signed, and it would give various maybe other information about the signature. This verification process is taking place in India without any relation to the environment in which the document was signed, because everything that Adobe needs is embedded in the document itself. If I send him a Word document, if I send him a signed Word document, Word would be able to verify it. Word has the capability to verify the signatures. Excel would verify it. Email, Outlook would verify it. AutoCAD, and so on and so forth. So the standards allow the applications to verify the signatures. The applications cannot sign. They don't have the signing capability. They have the verification capability. In order to allow the application to sign, you need to plug in a signature engine, which you can buy from us, you can buy from one of the other vendors. So this is what you get with a proper standards-based digital signature solution. The fact that I can sign it, the other side can verify it, and this all takes place without any previous relation between us. So this is why we say that a standards-based digital signature gives you the integrity. It guarantees the integrity of the document. It tells you who the signer is, and various other reasons. For example, intent. Sometimes you need to enter a reason when you sign a document. So this is basically what digital signatures are. Let's have a quick look to see what it looks like on the receiving end. I'm showing you an example of a PDF document with Adobe Reader. It would be a similar experience with all the other file formats. So Excel and Word and so on, more or less the same experience. So you received a signed PDF document. Adobe would tell you the document is signed and all the signatures are valid. You may have more than one signature. You will normally see a signature field. In the signature field, you will usually see a graphical image of the signature. The graphical image of the signature, the value of the graphical image of the signature, from a security point of view, is 0. It's just a JPEG. I can stick it wherever I want. It has no value whatsoever from a security point of view. It has a lot of value from a user use point of view. It's a very natural user indication that the document is signed. So usually the vendors would include the graphical signature. In the signature field, you will also see who signed it. In this case, you see the reason it was signed. You'll see the timestamp, and you can get various other information about the signature. If you dig down closer, Adobe would tell you the signature is valid. It was signed by so and so. This is the timestamp of the signing, and it gives you all sorts of text about the signing. So the document has not been modified since this signature was applied. Now again, this is all Adobe. It's got nothing to do with the vendor that signed the document.
Quick question.
Sure.
So is the hash calculated after placing the signature information or before placing the information?
Okay, so it's a good question. It's after the signature information was. So you place the signature and then you hash the document.
Including the image of it?
Yes. It's a good question, and we can maybe talk about why it's such a good question at the booth. But which parts are actually hashed is a good question, and it depends on the application. The way that Adobe hashes and the way that Word hashes are slightly different. So, for example, let me just explain so it doesn't sound so mysterious. In Word, if you want a number of people to sign a Word document, you have to place a number of signature fields in advance. You have to design your Word form with the signatures in place before anyone begins to sign. And then you can send the document through a workflow and allow the people to sign. And then if someone wants to add an additional signature field, then this would invalidate all the previous signatures because now you've changed the document because the signature field is calculated as part of the hash. Adobe does it slightly differently, and actually it does it in a more sophisticated way. With Adobe, you can actually have, you can send the document, one person signs it, then you can send it to another person. They can add another signature field. This will not invalidate the first signature. Why? Because Adobe knows that this is a signature field and it skips it during the hashing. If you didn't understand this, it's not that important. We commissioned a survey that was run by AIM. You may know the AIM organization. I'll save a little bit of time on the statistics here. We had a survey of organizations that didn't deploy an electronic solution yet, and those that did. And I'll skip the statistics, but basically the bottom line is that if, in today's world, if you see a piece of paper in an office environment, if you see a printed piece of paper in an office environment, there's a 50% chance that it's in paper form because someone needed to apply a signature. So the signatures are one of the main causes today that result in your electronic system converting back into paper. And this is the second part of the survey. Those that did deploy an electronic signature solution, they are happy users, obviously. I mean, they're saving time, they're expediting the processes, they're saving on costs, and within about a year, the big majority of them feel that there was an ROI to the investment of using an electronic signature solution. This is my main slide. I want to go through 10 factors that you need to consider when you select an electronic signature solution. And I will spend most of my time on talking about these factors. So let's start with the first one. The first one is you want your electronic signature solution to seal the document. You want the electronic signature solution to guarantee the integrity of the document. Okay? This means that you cannot scan your JPEG, you cannot scan your graphical signature and paste the JPEG onto your file. This doesn't preserve the integrity of the document. It is not a good enough signature solution. And it's very prevalent. You'll see this happening a lot, but it's really not, the document is really not signed at all. I can take this JPEG and I can stick it wherever I want. I know what your signature looks like. It has no value whatsoever. You want multiple application support. Multiple application support. So most of the electronic signature solutions today, they sign PDF documents. This is the most prevalent file format that you will see with vendors. Ideally, you want your electronic signature solution to sign different types of file formats. So you want a PDF, you want to sign Word, you want to sign Excel, you want to sign AutoCAD, you want to sign various other types of file formats. Our cosign solution does sign a large collection of file formats. I can tell you from our user community, the most popular file formats are PDF and Word. Organizations have started feeling comfortable with signing Word once Office turned into an open standard. Before Office 2007, it wasn't such a popular file format, because if you put it in the archive and pull the document out of the archive 10 years down the road, would Microsoft have something that would allow you to use the document or view it? Once it turned into an open standard, people are comfortable using Office documents in the archive or for long-term use. We can see that Word and Adobe are the most popular. But we also see AutoCAD, Excel, emails. I can sign my PowerPoint, and so on and so forth. In addition to the file format, you also want to be able to sign in a collection of different environments. So you want to be able to sign, if you're signing documents within Alfresco, you want to be able to sign the document in the Alfresco environment itself. If you don't have a connector to Alfresco, what you're forced to do is to pull the document out of Alfresco, sign it, and place it back into Alfresco. So if your users are using Alfresco, you want a solution that has a connector to Alfresco. You sort of right mouse click, one of the actions is digitally sign, and it all happens within the Alfresco environment. If you're using SharePoint, you want a SharePoint connector, OpenText, Oracle, Nintex, K2, all these type of environments that you'll find in a typical enterprise, you'll want a connector so that it's easier for the users to digitally sign the documents. So multiple applications means file formats, and it also means the different environments, the different document environments. Graphical signatures. Graphical signatures are a very nice feature to have. Users like to see their graphical signatures. When I show a demo of the signature solution, the thing that people are most impressed with is when they see their graphical signature. It's sort of the simplest thing to show, but it's the most impressive. Even people that really understand the material, they really like to see their graphical signature on the document, and that's fine. And originally, when we originally developed the product, we tried to avoid the graphical signature. We said we are a digital signature solution, and I want to emphasize the benefit of the digital signature capability, but we surrendered to the market, and graphical signatures are always an important part of the signature process itself. Multiple signatures. Multiple signatures means that you're able to sign, you're able to have a number of signatures on a document. In a typical workflow situation, you want a number of people to sign the document. Sometimes you want different users to sign different sections of the document. So you want one user to sign one section, another user to sign another section, and then maybe the manager signs the whole document. It seals the whole document. So you need to be able to support a number of signers for each document. The other interpretation of multiple signatures is that each user wants to have a number of graphical signatures. So you want to have your full graphical signature. You may want to have your initials. If you're an engineer, maybe you want your engineering stamp. When we sell in the US, we have engineers that are allowed to practice in different states. We have engineers that are allowed to practice in 50 states, and they have 50 different engineering seals that we need to support. Maybe you want your signature in a different language. Hebrew, it's a good signature. So multiple signatures means multiple graphical signatures or multiple people signing the same document. Zero IT management. So it's sort of a marketing thing, but you want it to be easy to deploy by the IT. This factor, for example, invalidates smart cards. Smart cards used to be, in Europe, the standard way to digitally sign. Smart cards give you a strong, standards-based digital signature solution. I know all about smart cards. We have been, and actually we still are, a smart card vendor, and we know this space very well. The problem with smart cards is that they were rejected by the market precisely because of this factor. It's too expensive, it's too complicated, it's not forward-looking in the sense that it's not compatible with the mobile trend, the cloud trend, and this is basically the factor that kills the smart cards, because otherwise smart cards give you a very high-quality signature solution. Compliance. compliance is a very long session that that we will summarize in a couple of minutes here. But I can spend a long time talking about compliance. I can spend a long time talking about compliance because actually there are some significant changes in the regulation in Europe that are taking place as we speak. And let's spend a minute on talking about this. So the European rules were established in 1999 by a set of directives that established the conditions for a compliant digital signature solution by the EU. And the way that the EU framework works is that directives are a sort of a guideline. They're a sort of recommendation. So the EU came out with the guidelines, and then every member state has the right to interpret the guidelines according to its understanding. So within the member states, Germany took the most extreme conservative approach. Some countries took a less extreme approach. And the result was that the French won't accept a Belgium signature. The Germans won't accept a signature from anyone. And this is not such a good behavior from an EU point of view. So the EU started developing a new set of regulations. This started about 2 or 3 years ago, and they've changed the framework from a set of directives to a set of regulations. Regulations mean that the member states have to accept the regulation as is. They can't say, I'm German and therefore I'm going to require more. No, every member state has to implement the regulations as they are, and they have to accept the signatures from all the other member states. The new regulations that have been developed are very interesting regulations. They are forward-looking. They have looked at the market. They understood what went wrong with the 99 directives. They understand the trend of mobile. They understand the trend of cloud. And the new regulations fit this new world of cloud, of mobile, of a proper standards-based digital signature that fits the world, the sort of the 21st century world. By the way, experience shows that most of the rest of the world will adopt the EU regulations. So South America, the Far East, the countries that won't adopt the EU regulations are the US. The UK usually doesn't, but this is going to be a very interesting, it was worth being born just to see how the UK is going to treat the new regulations, because on the one hand it's a member state and it has to comply with it. On the other hand, it usually went after the American approach, which is a very different approach. So the Americans are not going to comply with this. The Australians and the New Zealanders are not going to comply with this. The rest of the world is going to gradually switch to the new regulations. I can talk a lot more about the new regulations. When you select an electronic signature solution, you need to keep in mind that if you come from certain types of geographies or certain types of industries, you have to comply with the new regulations. The new regulations absolutely demand a proper standards-based digital signature solution. You cannot use a proprietary electronic signature solution and be compliant with the new regulations. So if you are from a conservative regulated industry in the US, federal, FDA regulated, state and local government, or you're from a European geography, you actually have to use a proper digital signature solution. You cannot go for the different electronic signature solutions. I will mention a couple. DocuSign is has become a very strong brand in the last couple of years. EchoSign is also a very well-known brand. EchoSign is now owned by Adobe. There's DocuSign, EchoSign, right sign, wrong sign, left sign. All these signs, they're all proprietary electronic signature solutions. They are not suitable in the EU. Transportability. Transportability is maybe the most important feature of digital signatures. And it's the one that I described. It's the fact that I can sign the document and I can send it, and anyone that receives it can verify the signature without installing any piece of software from me. So if I use a proprietary electronic signature solution, I need to install software in order to sign the document, and I also need to install software in order to verify the document. With a proper digital signature solution, you don't have to install anything at the receiving end. This is maybe the strongest value of the standards. Seamless registration of the users. This usually means in an enterprise environment that your signature solution doesn't have its own user management solution. You don't need to manage your signers separately. You're managing in a typical enterprise, you're managing your users with the Active Directory. You want to manage the signers with the Active Directory. You don't want to have another mechanism to manage your users. So whatever you're using to manage your users, whichever LDAP directory, whichever mechanism you're using to manage your users, you want your signature solution to be working with that same user management system. Simple to use. Simple to use is important because we know that if it's not simple to use, the users don't use it, and the whole investment in the signature process goes down the drain. By the way, DocuSign, EchoSign, and these guys have a very, very nice user experience in using their system. This is something, I have to admit, we will never, ever be able to compete with. The way that these cloud American companies design the use is very, very nice, and this is where they excel. Total cost of ownership. Total cost of ownership means it needs to be cheap. Okay, so marketing doesn't allow me to say cheap. It needs to be cost effective. But this is also one of the factors that eliminated the smart cards. So one of the reasons that smart cards were rejected by the market is because the only organizations that really can afford smart cards are organizations that have an infinite budget and an infinite amount of patience, which usually means military, government. But even there, it's been a very painful process to try and deploy these type of solutions. Okay, sorry. I wanted to spend, I have less than 5 more minutes, so I'll spend them on talking about Alfresco. So we have a connector that we can demonstrate. I won't demonstrate here. I don't want to keep you from lunch. So we have a connector that was developed by Zazy that allows you to digitally sign documents within the Alfresco environment. You see the document library, you see the documents in the library. If you press them or if you right mouse click on them, one of the actions that you get is to sign with cosign, to digitally sign. What happens is that we now take over. What basically happens is that Zazy provides the document to us. We are now responsible for the signature ceremony and all the sort of the complicated encryption that I described and the certification and so on. We get the document. We collect the signature from the user. If it's a number of users, then a number of signatures. We embed the signature in the document and give it back to Zazy to put it back into the Alfresco system. This is something that, as I said, I can demonstrate at the booth. It works it works with the document library, it works with the workflow, and it's a connector that we have deployed with a number of joint accounts that we have. I think that I'll finish here 5 minutes early. I wanted to give you the opportunity to ask questions, and if not, then go 5 minutes earlier to lunch. Any questions? Yeah.
How do you overcome user resistance? I guess you've got to store people's physical signatures somewhere to actually show a graphical signature. So how do you overcome user resistance when they say, oh, I'm not going to give you an image of my signature to say something?
We don't force them. So what we do is we generate a graphical signature for you. So automatically, for every user, we generate a graphical image of the signature because we know their name, and we sort of do it with a scripted font. If you want to keep this, that's fine. If you want to replace it, here's a pad, scribble your signature, and I will store your graphical signature. We don't fight it. Most users really want to see their graphical signatures. It's actually not a big battle.
Okay, thank you.
Question.
Yeah.
What does non-repudiation mean, and how does that flow into the signature process?
So you're in charge of the good questions today. So non-repudiation is one of these words that that when you use a standards-based digital signature, this is one of the values. So non-repudiation means that if I go to court, so it means that that I can go to court with a digitally signed document, and the court will view this document as if it has the same power, it has the same level as a handwritten signature on a paper contract. So a handwritten signature on a paper contract in a properly digitally signed document has the same power in court. So that means I can take someone to court and I can say, here's your digitally signed document. You are the only person in the world that could have signed it, and you cannot deny this. You can say all sorts of other things. You can say, I was forced to sign this, I didn't read, but you cannot say, I didn't sign this document. Okay, so this is the non-repudiation. You cannot say, I didn't sign this transaction. So the way... Okay, good question. So there are a number of ways of doing it. In a typical enterprise environment, in our solution, in our cosign solution, the cosign is connected to your Active Directory. When the admin adds you as a user, the cosign automatically recognizes this, and it generates the keys, and it certifies the keys, and it makes everything prepared for you to be able to sign. Okay? The idea is that if you are able to log into the network, if you receive a salary, if you're part of the organization, then this is good enough to allow you to digitally sign. A stronger, some places require a stronger form of registration, and that means that you need to go to a third party, a local trust center. You come in with 2 IDs, you present yourself, and this is the process of registering you. So you have someone that recognized you face to face, and they're the ones that registered you for the system. Usually, in a typical enterprise environment, the fact that the admin adds you to the Active Directory is good enough. By the way, when the admin removes you from the Active Directory, your keys are erased. You will never be able to sign again. Everything that you had signed will continue to be validated. So if you sign something and put it in the archive, you can pull it out of the archive 15 years down the road, and you can verify who signed it, but you can't sign again. If you got married and you changed your name, but you're still a legitimate user in the system, our cosign will recertify you according to your new name, and so on and so forth. But as long as you are a registered user on Active Directory, this is how you were recognized as a user. Yeah.
Is the signature assigned to the individual So it's just me, and it only validates me and it proves my activity, or when you procure the solution, do you buy a number of signatures?
So this is it's a good, another good question. So this is a user, so our solution, our cosign solution is a user signing solution. It's not a system signing solution. It's not an organization signing solution. There are solutions where there's just one signature. The users put their graphical signatures or whichever other way they sign, and then the document is sealed, is digitally sealed with the single organization key. This gives you some level of integrity, but it doesn't differentiate between you and anyone else in the organization. A proper digital signature solution is a user signing solution, meaning that you are signing with your key and you can be identified as an individual, as the only person that could have signed this transaction. Yeah.
Can your software or your connector, whatever it's called, use a digital certificate or digital signature which is issued by the state authorities in various countries, or you have your own signature?
Okay, another good question. So cosign comes with its own CA, but we also work with local trust centers, local CAs, if this is a requirement. So for example, in Italy is a very good market for us. We sold into most of the public sector in Italy from the Senate in Rome and through many of the government organizations. Most public sector organizations in Italy require an external certificate. I can work with my own CA or I can work with an external certificate. It's up to you to decide how you want to set this up. If this is an external certificate, there's an additional person that you need to pay to and there's some additional complications, but it's sometimes a requirement.
Is there any limitation of the external certificate? I mean, in technical way, how do you read it? The electronic devices, where you read it from, and so on?
It's all standards, all X509 standards. We have many.
So you can read it from a digital token, or it should be imported in?
We need to talk about the details, but the digital token, the digital token means the digital token means that you were already, you went to a local CA, you identified yourself, and they certified the key that is on the token. In most cases, I can't extract the key from that token, and therefore I can't sign with the centralized system. I can't sign with the key. So we need to talk about the details. The answer is yes, but we need to talk about the details. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the show.